Hello guys, Mr. GB Games here, and today I will teach you how to create a mob. Now in the previous video, I showed you how to make the model and the textures for it. Now, the only problem is that this won't just magically appear in the game. So, first thing we'll need to do is go under File, Export As, and Java. Now, export it to a location that you will find it back easily. Mine will be just right here, yes. And what a pointless search for that. Here should be somewhere here. Okay, there we go. Now if you get this file, we'll rename it to model rabbit.java. Well, that's automatically .java, but okay. And we'll copy this over to our package. Yes. Now we should have a model rabbit right now, and there are a few things we need to have fixed. Now, first of all, the package is nat.minecraft.soc defaultly. We want to change that to our own, in this case tutorial. For some reason it needs to boot the workspace again to let that work, so we'll give it a bit, I guess. Okay, so done that. As you can see, it's changed to tutorial right now. So we have the class name, which should be model rabbit, and it's extending model base, which is not yet imported, so we'll import that. Model renderer isn't imported either. I'll actually do this with a star. That's an ID. And I will remove this line because it's not required anymore. Save this and you file updates again. Then there are two more bugs. This entity, which is not yet imported, you should grab the net.minecraft.entity one, not any other entity. And then set rotation angles should become out null, like that. Save the file, and you're done. Now, the mob still does not appear in the game, which is a problem. So we need an entity file. The entity is basically what the mob actually is. The model is what it looks like, and the entity is the call, how it functions. So we'll call this file entity rabbit, and we'll create that file. Now, because we're cheap and lazy, we're not going to make the entity file ourselves. We are going to copy an original one from Minecraft. So normally you would be quite similar to another one, and a rabbit is in this case similar enough to, I guess, a pig or a cow. Obviously the sounds are wrong and how it looks is wrong, but you get the point. In movement and stuff, it's good enough. Now we could do an ocelot because rabbits do kind of want to get away from you, so we'll actually grab the ocelot. So we have not Minecraft entity, and we'll search for passive, which is basically friendly mobs, and we should see an ocelot in there. Now a problem with the ocelot though is obviously it has two kinds of ocelots: the tamed, which is usually referred as cat, and the non-tamed ocelot, which could lead into problems. So we'll just use a cow or something, which is a lot easier. But yes, we are eventually going to the process of making them tameable, so don't worry. But for this purpose right now, we'll just copy literally the cow, which once again gives us a lot of bugs. Normally we change the entity, we import entity mob, we change the name to entity rabbit, what's that name there, and there are no more bugs. Now there are only a few things you probably want to change. That is public int get max health. This is basically the amount of half hearts it has. So if I would enter this, it has one half heart. If I enter this, it would have one total heart. Now, a human, basically your character has 20, but a cow has 10, and I want a rabbit because it's little, probably not too strong, easy to kill. I'm only gonna give it 2 hearts, which is really not much. Now, other things you may want to change, but it's really hard to do this, and I'll make a tutorial on that as well, but not now. There's the sounds, but basically you don't want to fiddle around with it right now. The only thing I would suggest is basically removing anything that's there, otherwise it will basically make cow sounds, and that is kind of odd, and I don't like it when it does that, so I just remove everything when I don't have the sounds and have them set up, so I just get them empty, so no sounds are made. This is the sound volume. You could change that if you have the sounds, but it's not really important right now. This is an important thing though. Public int, projected int, get drop item ID, and it returns item.leather.item ID. Basically, this is what it drops when you kill it, and we don't have a special item yet, so we'll just let it drop leather. Drop few items is basically something it will drop either sometimes or and varying in the amount. So this will drop leather at least once, and it has a chance of beef cooked, basically cooked beef if it's burning, and otherwise it will just beef raw, and that sometimes and a set amount of times minimum could occur as well. So this is what happens when the player interacts with the mob, and in our case we don't want a bucket to be filled with milk when you're interacting with the rabbit, so we'll just remove anything here. We can actually just remove the entire statement because we don't need it. Now, public entity rabbit spawn baby animal. Now we do want this to happen, but not right now, so it won't function correctly. At this point it will still work sometimes. I'm not totally sure about that, but when I tested this out earlier, it just made rabbits as big as they normally are as babies, which is something to do with the renderer we'll go into later. But yeah, that's basically the entire entity rabbit in a nutshell. Now what we all... Okay, so I'm not sure if you were able to hear that, I got interrupted there. But yeah, let's get right to the process we were in. So, one thing you need to do right now is to create a mod underscore blah blah file. Why it's called this is, it doesn't matter, it needs to start with mod underscore and then whatever after that. Why we need this file is because I don't know how to do this in Forge totally, so we'll just do this process in non-Forge. So this is going to extends the file base mod, which is basically mod loader, which is as well included in Minecraft Forge, so don't worry. Now we're going to add the unimplemented methods, which is an easy way of doing it, and it says get version, which you should add something to. It doesn't need to be added, but it's good to add there. So 1.5.2. My keyboard is configured wrong, I think. Yeah, okay, that's the dot. Okay, so 1.5.2, and this is an important method. It's the load method. So now what we're going to do is in the load method we're going to do mod loader dot, and you can do this in the mod file as well, but it's just better to have everything related to mobs in the same file. So add entity. Is that correct?
Add any entities. Oh, okay. We're trying to add a spawn for the entity. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Okay, we got a little confused. Okay, so we'll just... God, why? Okay, so we'll add the spawn. Wait a second.
But I restarted my computer now, everything is fine again. So...
we'll have to... let's spawn.
And then we have this entity class,
which is the first thing we want to change, which needs to be obviously entity rabbit the class. So this is the probability of it spawning, which will just set to 10 now, you guys. I'm not totally sure why it changes, but it needs to be a number. Now this is the minimum per chunk, I think, of animals that can spawn, of your mob that can spawn there. So we'll make the minimum 1 and the max, I guess, 5, maybe. And spawn list, I will just leave to null. I'm not sure if that will work, but yeah, okay, we'll keep that to null. So now another thing we want to do is mod loader. Oops. Loader dot. Wait a second. Register entity ID. Okay, so for the entity class, once again, this will be entity rabbit class. The entity name, which is a string variable, which we'll name rabbit. It's the most logical thing. And the ID actually is it should be a number, but instead of entering a real number, we'll actually do modloader dot get unique entity ID. So what this will make is that every single time you boot up the game, will always be a unique ID, which means it won't collide or collapse with other mods using mobs, which is good. Now another thing you want to do is public public void something, and then map these things, public without a capital P, void without a capital V, and then import map from java.utility. Now what we'll do is we'll do map.put. Okay, so this is what to do. You need to do your package name, in this case tutorial. Oh god, let's write that again. Tutorial dot entity rabbit dot class, specifying the class file. Now the other argument is new render rabbit. Heck, that kind of sounds funny. And obviously, once again, stop doing these capitals. New render rabbit. New model rabbit 0.5f. That probably needs to be a comma actually. Okay, so there are still a few bugs here. First one being render rabbit. We don't have that file yet, so that's going to be a problem. And I had a paste bin open here because I restarted my computer, I don't have it open yet. But this code is basically always the same, and for that reason we're just going to literally copy it over, link in the description to the paste bin file actually. So yeah, I will have a quick look on where it is as a rabbit. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye. Oh yeah, I actually did my outro wrong. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, you could give it a thumbs up or subscribe. And till then, see you guys next time, maybe in the next video. I hope you learned something as well. Bye. Okay, so we have the Minecraft cam right now. Now obviously we're not in creative, which we know should be. There we go. Okay, so there we go. We have our colors. As you can see, modifying the numbers will help. There's probably some online guide on how to create the colors correctly as you want them. But right now there's black and blue or purple, however you want to see it or however your screen works. And it says spawn entity rabbit dot name. We are going to fix that later on, but for now we'll just see if the mob spawns. And as you can see, it does, and it's a functioning mob. You can see it can run around and do whatever it wants, but has, well, first problem, it has cow textures, because we didn't change the textures from cow in the entity file to the one we want. But the biggest problem, in my opinion, is that it's not yet our model. So I'll quickly try to do that at least. Okay, so I did something wrong previously. Now what you should do is you should change this text, which we, well, at least I did something there before, but it should absolutely be at renderer, with the only capital being an R of the first R of renderer. So that it needs to be exactly that, and otherwise it will not work. So now I'll swap right into Minecraft mode and see how it looks. In case this is swapped into Minecraft mode, and as you can see we have my Rabbity world right here, so just play this world basically. So as you can see, I actually spawned a view in already, and as you can see they have the correct rabbit model. So check in the next tutorial for finalizing our rabbit, making it look like a rabbit actually with our custom made textures. And maybe, just maybe, I will do an HD textures tutorial for mobs as well, or create a spawning and probably another tutorial. There's still a lot to do to make it totally our own completed surrounded grade mob, but for the time being, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, you could give it a thumbs up or subscribe. But even if you didn't like what you watched, I still thank you for watching the video, and bye.